Well, and I have one good story to tell too about, obviously the Sammy Hagar story. So, there's a story there that was kind of funny.
Okay.
Do you want me to tell it now, or you want to
tell it now? I mean, we're in the first hour here, so we're a few minutes away from a break. So go for it.
All right. Well, I obviously went out and saw Sammy Hagar in the Circle on Sunday, and it's Sammy and Michael Anthony and Jason Bonham and Vic Johnson. That's who makes up the Circle.
Okay.
And the show is a combination of Van Halen tunes, the Van Halen tunes that are Sammy's.
Yeah.
And a little bit of Led Zeppelin. They play one Led Zeppelin tune. And some of Sammy's solo stuff and a little Montrose. It's like Sammy's career, more or less. It was a great show. I'm not going to get into a whole thing about, well, they played this and that and whatever. They played enough Van Halen songs to make everybody happy, and then they played, what you would expect. I Can't Drive 55, and they played Right Now, and they played Why Can't This Be Love, blah, blah, blah. They played the right songs. And that was fine. But the funny story has to do with the seating. So I got my seats from my friend Randy Earhart, who, thank you so much, Randy, because they were really pretty good seats. And as you remember, I was telling you the tickets were $189 a piece. So Randy got us 4 tickets for $60 a piece, which was just nice price. So our tickets we were section 6, I think, either 4 or 6, and we were seats 1, 2, 3, and 4. So you would think that's right on the end, right? Well, it wasn't. It ended up being the first row, which was nice, or the second row. But what it was the way they have this set up. You know how you have the aisle that you would go up?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The aisle that you would go up, instead of being where it normally sits for every other concert I've ever been to in my life, where you go up it and then the first seat next to you is seat 1 of the row.
Right.
It was in between for the first couple of rows. So we didn't know this going in, and we thought we had the first 4 seats. Well, when we get to our seats, it was 1 and 2, then the walkway, and then 3 and 4.
Okay.
And
so it was split.
Yeah, so it was split.
Mm-hmm.
So when we go to get into our seats, it was me, John, and Stephanie. It was supposed to be Kelly, but she bailed last second. She bailed out on the show. So I was like, okay, cool. Fat guy gets an extra seat. Awesome deal. I like it. So we go to get to our seats, and instead of being 1, 2, 3, and 4, where we could have gone 1, a space, 3, and 4, and that would have been good. It was 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, split up.
Okay.
And when we got there was a guy sitting in seat 1. And I was like, so then you come up with the problem. Do you tell the guy to beat it? What do you tell him? It's your seat, but he's not really hurting anything. The show hadn't started.
Right.
Whatever. And I didn't want to be a total dick about it. I did not want to be a dick and say, hey, pal, this is my seat that's not being used. Scram.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a dick about it. So
right. You could have said, the reason I bought 2 seats is because I don't want to sit next to anyone.
Because I'm a big fat slug. That's why I have the seat. But I didn't. I pussed out, to be honest.
Right.
And so I sit down, and he's sitting down. And about 10 minutes in, I was like, all right, I got to figure out how to get this fucking guy out of here.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to the guy, I looked at the guy and I said, hey, just so you know, my girlfriend's going to be coming over here eventually.
Right.
So when she comes, you're going to have to move. And that was with the thought of, okay, well, he'll just disappear here in the next minute or 2.
Sure.
He'll get up and he'll move away, and then I don't have to be a total fucking asshole, you know.
All
But
right.
so then the show starts, okay?
Yeah.
The show starts, everybody stands up. Any show, right? The show is started and it's happening. He's standing up, I'm standing up. But he's not moving away from the thing. And he didn't have to step down any. He was standing on the floor because row B is like the first row of seats, like off of the floor itself. So if you stand up, you're actually standing on the floor. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying.
Okay. So he's standing there and I'm standing there and the music's playing, but he's not going anywhere. And I'm like, son of a bitch, this guy's going to call me out for being a lying fucking faggot.
Yeah.
So Billy comes over. Billy was playing the other room after Sammy ended. So Billy comes walking over and I grabbed Billy and I said, hey, what's up, man? And Billy comes over and he stands next to me and this guy.
Yeah.
The guy looks at me like, look at this fucking homo.
That's your girlfriend?
My girlfriend. and I didn't even let on to it. I just was like, hey, what's up? You know?
Yeah.
Glad you made it, you know. And I'm totally saying things like that too, not like hey, you know, what do you think? Or I'm like, hey, glad you made it. Like, hey, my girlfriend made it.
Yeah, there you go.
And the guy just gave me this look of absolute horror.
Right.
And just fucking walked away.
And then you should have started raising a fuss and started calling bigot, homophobe. Don't you know it's Pride Month?
Yeah,
What's
no
wrong
kidding.
with you? I sent you the list the Cuthbert chick.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty good video, right?
Acting like I wouldn't know who she was. Holy smokes. Talk about somebody that I've rubbed it out to 1,000,005 times. Jesus Christ.
What is it about that girl? I mean, I'm not into blondes per se, but she is really sexy.
First of all, her body is fucking damn near perfect.
Yeah.
Her body, she's got great tits, but they're not too huge. They're the perfect size. She's like a 34C, and she's got great ass, great skin, great face, and she doesn't have a model face.
Well, she's curvy is what she is.
She is, but not at all fat. No fat.
No, she's not fat. She's just curvy. She's shapely.
Yeah, but I think what makes her so hot is she has that innocent girl next door, really pretty girl next door, innocent face.
Yeah.
She does that thing where she like bites down on her top lip a little bit. It's like, oh, you are just one hot little bitch.
Yeah, she's something else. Again, I'm not into blondes per se, but boy, for a blonde, she's smoking.
She is, dude. I have been rubbing it out to her for almost 20 years now. I mean, when she came on 24, she was Jack Bauer's daughter, and they tried to pretend that she was like 16 or something, but she wasn't. And oh my God, I was just like, oh, she's like the hottest thing ever. She's one of my all-timers, man. I love her.
Yeah.
And she's aged really, really well. She really, I mean, watching her on the ranch, she still looks like she's in her 20s.
Yeah, she seems to have like a cool chick attitude too.
Yeah, well, she's married to a hockey player.
Yeah.
So she's definitely not some homebody. You know, what's funny is she started out as one of these fucking Hollywood whores. She was one of those Hollywood whores that ran around with Paris Hilton.
I know. I watched this little video. It's just like, why doesn't Hollywood cast her very much anymore?
Yeah, I don't get that.
And well, the thing is that they said that she kind of ruined her career because she hung out with Paris Hilton.
Mm-hmm. But she's a really pretty, I mean, forget pretty. She's a good actress.
Yeah, she's funny in The Ranch, and I see that they canceled The Ranch, which is okay with me because without Danny Masterson, it went to shit.
Yeah, without Danny Masterson, it was dreary and miserable.
And not only that, but this last season that they filmed, that was like the most depressing season ever.
It was miserable. I didn't like that we had to deal with her being pregnant the whole time.
I know. Who wants to see a knocked up? What's her first name?
Alicia
Cuthbert.
Yeah.
Who wants to see a knocked up Alicia Cuthbert? Who wants to see that?
That ruins the fantasy completely.
I don't want to see this hot little chick with a distended belly.
Oh, I don't want to see Alicia Cuthbert pregnant. And to be honest, I wanted to see more of the ex-girlfriend, Kimberly Goss.
Yeah, she was pretty hot too.
She was a very hot chick as well. They had these two beautiful chicks, and then they ruined it they got rid of Kimberly Goss. She was in one episode of the last season when they were in the tornado or whatever, and they were all stuck in the gym or whatever.
Yeah, and they got married.
Yeah, and which sucked. But that part sucked. But then you spent the whole season with Alicia Cuthbert eating fucking ice cream and pickles and complaining about being pregnant. Fuck that. Who the fuck wants to watch that?
It just ruined it.
Yeah. I wish TV people would figure that out. We never want to see pregnancy.
Right.
You know when we want to see pregnancy? When we accidentally don't pull out. That's the only time we want to see pregnancy, when we're stuck having it in our own lives.
We don't want to even see it then.
Well, TV and movie, well, that's true. But TV and movies are supposed to be about fantasy. It's supposed to take you away from reality.
Chris, stop being so tone deaf.
I am tone deaf when it comes.
Women are not here just for your pleasure.
Yes, that's what I look to entertainment for, to be entertained.
Right.
And every time on every show when somebody is knocked up, I'm done with the show for that season.
Right.
No, I watched Law and Order SVU, and Kelly Giddish is one of the actresses, and I know you probably don't know who she is, but I have a thing for her too. And they spent last season with her knocked up. And it was like, Jesus fucking Christ. We really need to, what's her name is gotten too old. What's her name? Mariska Hargitay. She's gotten too old to where now she's starting to look like a feminine man. No. So she's not looking as hot as she used to, but at least you had this blonde Kelly Giddish. And now they spent a whole year with her knocked up. It was like, ugh. Now I'm stuck fucking, the best I got is iced tea. Watching that show, it's fucking pitiful. Give me some sexy while you're showing me rape. Right. For God's sakes, keep it real here. Here's a question in the chat room for me and you, I guess. Have you two ever been destitute, like not knowing where your next meal is coming from? Just seems like sometimes you are two entitled jackasses.
Well, the answer is no, and I'll tell you the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Because, number one, I've never been fucked up on drugs. Mm-hmm. I've never had an alcoholic problem. I've always been responsible. I have been unemployed, mm-hmm. but I've always put money away for those kind of things.
Sure.
So when somebody is destitute, I would say 9 times out of 10, and again, I say 9 times out of 10 because there is an exception to every rule.
Mm-hmm.
But anyone who becomes destitute is someone who isn't being responsible. That's the way that I look at it. Now, of course, there's other extenuating circumstances from, having a physical problem or some kind of unforeseen situation. Mm-hmm. But people in general who become destitute or homeless or whatever, it's because of poor choices.
Yeah. Don't disagree.
And that's the reason why. So the answer is no, I've never been destitute, and it's not because I'm privileged or anything. It's because I took care of my business, period.
Mm-hmm.
Chris has known me for 20 years, and when I had a tough time of it, I had a mortgage to pay and I had bills to pay. Mm-hmm. I was out there driving a fucking cab 12 to 13 hours a day.
Yeah.
Driving a cab.
Yep.
Okay? So I didn't sit around and go, oh, well, I hope I can collect welfare, or I need to go get food stamps. It's like, fuck that. I'm going to go do something. I'll drive a cab.
Yeah.
And I did.
Sure. Are you done? Because I have my
I'm
answer.
done. Go ahead.
I've obviously been dead, for fuck's sake. I've been as far down as you can possibly be. I've been dead on the table. Dead. Shocked back to life. Came back from being dead. Came back from being fucking burned 70%, 69%, 52% third degree with grafts everywhere. Came back from all of that. Didn't sit around and wait for a fucking settlement. Didn't get a settlement, for fuck's sake. Lost my case in court. Had to figure it out. Had to figure out how to live my life. Figured it out. Worked for 12 years. Worked 3 jobs always. As long as you've known me, Neely, I've worked 3 jobs. As long as you've known me.
That it's absolutely true.
Including right now, where I fucking own 2 legitimate businesses that I built myself. Not somebody handed to me, not silver spooned. Built myself. Built to the point that I worked so hard that I ended up in the hospital with the current business, the pinball place, from working so many hours. In between all that, I wrote 5 so far books. I'm writing 2 more as we speak. I'm also learning more shit daily with my other business. I keep my IT business going to where I make easily 6 figures. I make 6 more figures with my pinball business. So am I entitled? You're fucking A right I am, and I earned every goddamn last bit of it. I worked every minute of it. I work 18 to 20 every fucking day. No days off. No, and Neely, you can attest to that. I never take a day off. I have not put my phone and my computer down and taken a vacation where I actually left and didn't work since 2010. That's the last time. I took 9 days. And that's really the only time as an adult I ever took a vacation. I don't even know what that means. You know, to be honest, to answer your question about being, homeless or destitute or whatever, it's my greatest fear in the world is to be homeless, not to be fucking broke. I've been broke. I've made $28,000 in a year. I've made less than that when I was in the service. I just knew how to work from day one, and I've always fucking worked, and I've always worked harder than everybody else. So, nice question. Good try. Yeah, I've been on food stamps. I have been on food stamps, actually, for like 3 months. I was. It's all good. Is what it is. You can accuse me of whatever you want to accuse me of, but I've worked harder than anybody. So keep trying. Maybe you'll get to me.
I've always worked. I've been working since I was 8 years old.
Yeah.
8 years old. Mm-hmm. I've never been without a job.
Yeah. I've never been without. I mean, I guess when I was spending 4 years recovering, I was definitely without a job for those 4 years, as I recovered from burn injuries and 22 surgeries and shit. But I did. And I exceeded. Oh, I love now. now it's all about, well, not everybody can come and work at their daddy's place like I'd let my son do. I built a business for my kids. That's what my goal is. Dumb shit. If you listen to the show, which you obviously do.
Now your kids are involved?
Yeah, now my kids are involved.
Oh, and now it's not about you and me now. It's about your kids.
Now it's about my kids. But that's fine. Whatever. I built businesses for my kids so that they won't have to fucking go through the bullshit that I've gone through, so that I can give them better, like a good dad does for their kid. You try to provide more. You try to get them better. You try to leave them with more than you had. I didn't have shit. I left them with something. I left them with working businesses. Try again, dude.
It's kind of funny because you and I have actually met face to face some of our CMS listeners.
Sure.
And as far as I know, okay, I could be wrong, but as far as I know, I think that the CMS listeners that we've met in person and hung out with a little bit,
Yeah.
I don't think they have bad things to say about either one of us.
No, I don't think so. And if they do, they do. I could easily push one button and throw John and Will Dake out of the fucking chat. I'm not going to. Whatever. I don't have any fear of ever answering for what I've done when it comes to anything that I've done. Lord knows I've told every bad thing that I've ever done on the show. I mean, find somebody else that's willing to admit the depravity that I have, the fucking meat products when I was a kid and fucking still jerking my dick 5 times a week, every single week, and watching porn and being a fucking perv and,
degenerate.
Yeah, I am a degenerate. I know I am.
Well, here's the other thing, much to the point of this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for you and my efforts, you wouldn't have a show to listen to.
Yeah.
We built this show from the ground up for 24 fucking years, non-stop.
Yeah, on the side of doing our real lives.
24 years. I started this show in January of 96.
Yeah.
We are now in June of 2019, and the show is still going, and it's going better than it ever has.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
And it's our side gig.
How did that happen?
Well, it happened because we're dedicated. It happened because we're but what I'm saying is this show that does 40,000 fucking listeners a week, downloads or whatever, is not even a business. It's something we do for the fuck of it.
And it's free.
Yeah. It's really something we do for the fuck of it.
Yeah. I mentioned Flashdance there recently or earlier.
Yeah.
1983 movie.
Yeah.
So I was on Amazon Prime and I'm flipping through videos.
Okay.
Newly added.
Mm-hmm.
So I see Flashdance on there.
Okay.
And you know what a big fan of the city of Pittsburgh I am.
Sure.
So this is filmed in Pittsburgh. I was working in a music store going to college at the time when this movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And the soundtrack for it, that thing sold a shit ton.
Sure.
We sold a lot of the soundtrack for that movie on records and tapes.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I haven't seen this movie in like decades.
Okay.
So I flipped it on and I watched it. God damn, that producer of this movie,
yeah,
he knew what he was doing with that Jennifer Beals.
Yeah, she looked pretty good in that movie.
She was hot. I mean, the things that they had her doing in that movie, like eating that lobster and taking her bra off under that big shirt and all that shit.
Right.
It's like, God damn, they knew what they were doing. I forgot she was pretty hot, but she's a lesbo now.
She's a lesbo now?
You didn't know that?
No.
Oh yeah, look her up, Jennifer Beals.
Ugh.
Yeah, she's a big activist lesbo. Boy, she was pretty sweet, hot in that movie though.
It's sad when good pussy is wasted.
She was wearing that tight leather skirt and pulled it up to sit down. Like, holy shit.
She's way too hot not to be taking some dick from somebody. Jesus, give some guys a break.
Yeah, it wasn't a particularly good movie. I did like the city scenes and, of course, the scenes that she was being just nasty in. So I was just like, oof, okay.
Let's see. What other movies did she do?
I couldn't tell you. That's the only one I know of.
Let's see. Where's your film career here? Well, Flashdance was only her second movie. My God, she did a bunch of movies.
I would never know. That's the only one I've ever seen her in or that I remember ever seeing her in.
It looks like she did like 30 movies. Holy, I didn't realize she did this many movies. None of them were big.
Yeah.
I'm looking. I don't know any of these movies. Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle. The Search for One-Eyed Jimmy. Devil in the Blue Dress. That was big, wasn't it? Was that a big movie, 95?
Dude, I couldn't tell you.
The Prophecy 2. The Last Days of Disco. Turbulence 2, Fear of Flying. Any of these movies ringing a bell? 13 Moons?
Not at all. None of them.
Roger Dodger. The Grudge 2. That was a big movie. Not really. Queen to Play. The Book of Eli. Now that was a big movie with Denzel. Full Out. Manhattan Night, Before I Fall, After. None of these are ringing a bell.
None of them.
You know what she was hot in, though? And I will say, I watched it, and not knowing that she was a lesbo, I jerked to her many times watching it.
Yeah.
A show on Fox called The Chicago Code back in 2011.
Not familiar with it.
And by that time, I was definitely sleeping on the couch almost always. And I was sleeping in a sleeping bag. And I could just tell you, I painted the inside of that fucking sleeping bag.
You were sleeping on the couch in a sleeping bag?
Yeah, sure was.
Oh my God.
It's easier than fucking dealing with a blanket.
Ugh.
I slept on a sleeping bag. It's still more comfortable than sleeping next to her. It definitely was.
What a life, man.
What a fucking horrible life. But
yeah, you live in your own house and you have to sleep on the couch. Well, you know what? I got to be honest with you. The last year that I was married, I slept on the couch too.
Yeah, well, it wasn't that bad. I was fucking Jessica Biel once a week.